History is often decided on the waves. The story of naval warfare is a fantastic tale of human ingenuity and conflict. It begins not with giant cannons, but with simple wooden boats. For thousands of years, controlling the seas, rivers, and lakes meant controlling trade, food, and power. Early civilizations quickly understood this. If you could move soldiers and supplies by water, you had a huge advantage over your enemies. Naval warfare became a crucial part of human history, shaping the destinies of empires and the very map of the world. It's a story about more than just ships. It's about exploration, innovation, and the relentless quest for dominance. The first naval battles were brutal, close-quarters affairs. Imagine long wooden galleys powered by hundreds of sweating oarsmen. These ships were not designed to fight from a distance. Their main weapon was the ship itself. At the front, they often had a large sharp point called a ram, usually covered in bronze. The goal was simple: to smash a hole into the side of an enemy vessel. Captains would command their rowers to build up speed, aiming for a devastating impact that would flood and sink their opponent. It was a terrifying and chaotic way to fight, demanding incredible skill from the commander and immense effort from the crew who rowed the ship. One of his most famous early naval clashes was the Battle of Salamis in 480 BC. Here, a smaller Greek fleet faced the might of the massive Persian navy. The Greeks used clever tactics and their knowledge of the narrow straits to their advantage. They lured the larger, less nimble Persian ships into a tight space where they couldn't maneuver properly. The Greek triremes, agile and equipped with powerful rams, then systematically destroyed the Persian fleet. This victory was a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. It showed the world that a superior navy, even if smaller, could defeat a larger land-based power. It cemented the importance of sea power in the ancient world. Beyond ramming, early naval tactics also involved boarding. Once ships were close enough, soldiers would swarm onto the enemy deck. It was essentially a land battle fought on a floating wooden platform. Men with swords, spears and shields would clash in bloody hand-to-hand combat. Archers on deck would fire arrows to support the boarding parties and pick off enemy crew members. These early battles were a combination of skilled seamanship and raw, brutal fighting. The outcome often depended on which side could best coordinate their oarsmen, marines and archers in the heat of battle, turning the tide with a well-timed ram or a successful boarding action. As centuries passed, technology moved on from oars to sails. This was a revolutionary change. The age of sail, from roughly the 16th to the mid-19th century, transformed naval warfare and world history. Ships no longer depended on the muscle power of rowers. Instead, they harnessed the wind, allowing them to travel further and stay at sea for much longer periods. This new capability enabled nations like Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands and Britain to build vast global empires. Fleets of tall ships could cross oceans, establish colonies and control lucrative trade routes. The sea became the highway of empire, and the navy was the force that policed it. During this era, the design of warships changed dramatically. The main weapon was no longer the ram, but the cannon. Ships became floating gun platforms. Great wooden vessels known as ships of the line were built with multiple decks lined with dozens of heavy cannons. These powerful guns fired iron cannonballs that could splinter wood, tear through sails and devastate enemy crews. Naval battles transformed into long-range artillery duels. Fleets would line up in long columns, a tactic known as the line of battle, to bring the maximum number of cannons to bear on the enemy. Victory depended on superior gunnery, disciplined crews and sturdy ships. Great Britain's Royal Navy became the master of this type of warfare. Its dominance was cemented at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Here, Admiral Lord Nelson led the British fleet against a combined French and Spanish force. Nelson abandoned the traditional line of battle tactic. He audaciously split his fleet into two columns and sailed directly through the enemy line, creating chaos and confusion. This allowed for brutal, close-range battles where the superior training and faster firing rate of the British crews proved decisive. Though Nelson was tragically killed in the battle, his victory ensured British naval supremacy for over a century and protected Britain from invasion by Napoleon. Having a powerful navy was essential for a nation's prosperity and security. Navies protected merchant ships carrying valuable goods like spices, silk and gold from pirates and rival nations. They allowed countries to project power across the globe, enforcing their will on distant colonies. A strong navy could blockade enemy ports, strangling their economy and preventing them from receiving supplies. It was the ultimate symbol of national strength. Without control of the sea, an empire could not be built, and a nation could not be considered a true world power. The tall sailing ships were the key to unlocking global influence. The 19th century brought the Industrial Revolution, and with it the most dramatic changes naval warfare had ever seen. Wood and sail began to give way to iron and steam. The invention of the steam engine was a game changer. Ships were no longer at the mercy of the wind. A steam-powered warship could move in any direction, regardless of weather conditions, giving it a massive tactical advantage over a sailing vessel. This new technology meant navies could operate with more reliability and precision than ever before. The age of sail, which had dominated the seas for 300 years, was rapidly coming to an end. The next great leap was in shipbuilding materials. Wooden ships, no matter how well built, were vulnerable to new explosive cannon shells. The solution was to cover them in iron armor. These new ships were called ironclads. The first major battle between ironclads took place during the American Civil War in 1862 at the Battle of Hampton Roads. The USS Monitor and the CSS Virginia fought for hours, their cannonballs bouncing harmlessly off each other's iron plating. The battle was a draw, but the message was clear to every navy in the world. Wooden warships were now obsolete. The future of naval warfare was iron. These technological shifts sparked a naval arms race among the great powers. Nations scrambled to build bigger, faster, and more powerful steam-powered iron-hulled warships. Guns became larger, armor became thicker, and engines became more efficient. A new weapon also emerged from the depths: the submarine. Early submarines were crude and dangerous, but they offered a stealthy way to attack enemy ships from below the surface using torpedoes. This underwater threat added a terrifying new dimension to naval strategy. Fleets could no longer just worry about what was on the surface. They now had to fear the unseen enemy lurking below. By the start of the 20th century, these developments culminated in a new type of warship, the Dreadnought. In 1906, Britain launched HMS Dreadnought, a ship so revolutionary it made every other battleship in the world obsolete overnight. It was fast, powered by steam turbines, and featured an all-big gun armament of 10 massive 12-inch guns. Previous battleships had a mix of large and smaller guns, but the Dreadnought could outrange and outgun them all. Its arrival triggered a frantic shipbuilding race, particularly between Britain and Germany, which became one of the major causes of the First World War. The age of steel fleets had truly begun. The 20th century saw naval warfare evolve at a breathtaking pace, largely driven by two world wars. While the great Dreadnought battleships clashed at Jutland in the First World War, a new power was rising: air power. The aircraft carrier soon replaced the battleship as the most important ship in the fleet. These floating airfields could launch planes to scout, bomb enemy ships, and defend the fleet from hundreds of miles away. Battles like the Battle of Midway in the Second World War were decided entirely by aircraft. The opposing fleets never even saw each other. The carrier strike group became the centerpiece of modern naval power. After the Second World War, the Cold War introduced another game-changing element: nuclear power. Nuclear-powered submarines could stay submerged for months at a time, limited only by the crew's food supplies. They were the ultimate stealth weapon. Armed with nuclear ballistic missiles, these submarines became a critical part of the nuclear deterrent, able to launch a devastating strike from anywhere in the world's oceans. The silent, hidden threat of these underwater giants fundamentally changed global strategy. The oceans became a new front line in the tense standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union, a deep and dark theater of operations. Today, a modern navy is a complex, high-tech force. The aircraft carrier remains the queen of the fleet, a symbol of a nation's global reach. It is protected by a screen of advanced destroyers and cruisers, armed with guided missiles that can shoot down aircraft or hit targets hundreds of miles away. Under the waves, stealthy attack submarines hunt for enemy ships and subs. Technology is at the heart of everything. Sophisticated radar, sonar, and satellite communications link the entire fleet together, creating a network that can see and strike over vast distances. It's a far cry from the wooden ships and cannons of Trafalgar. Looking to the future, naval warfare continues to evolve. Unmanned systems, like aerial drones and underwater robotic vehicles, are becoming increasingly common. These machines can perform dangerous missions without risking human lives. Cyber warfare is another new frontier, with the potential to disable an enemy's command and control systems without firing a single shot. The role of navies has also expanded beyond just fighting. Today, they are crucial for disaster relief, anti-piracy operations, and protecting global trade routes. From the ancient ram to the modern drone, the fight for control of the sea continues to shape our world in profound ways.